How's your
Well,
fucking
ladies,
elbow and all
gents,
that?
fellow rugby lovers, haters, whatever the fuck you call yourselves. Anyway, we're all here about rugby. It's that time of the week. Woohoo! Wednesday night, whatever time or time zone you're watching. We're here to talk about the beautiful egg-shaped game. Joining us this week, we have the main man called Matt Boland. We have also got Kerry's finest heifer farmer, Danny Brosnan, Irish man abroad in Scotland called Mike Reedy, expert and soon-to-be resident of Fuerteventura, Claire Devaney, and some contrary fucker who kind of runs the show called Burke.
No, I don't run it. I don't run it.
And
no,
myself.
I was doing that, Pete, because
anyway.
I was doing that, Pete. Sorry to interrupt, because we're
shut the fuck up, Burke. Shut the fuck up.
We're live on YouTube as well.
Oh, who you finally figured out how to do it? Go, Peter.
Anyway,
Go.
don't care. Don't care.
Go on.
Oh, Jesus, the victories. It hasn't broken yet either. Folks, we'll start off. We have a good evening to everybody else who cares to watch and don't forget to throw your comments up. We just want all that feedback, you know. And remember, guys, it's banter, not abuse. Here for Claire only. There you go, Claire. First compliment of the evening.
Thank you, Megan.
Folks,
thank you, Megan.
Will we start off with the Women's Six Nations final result last week? And yes, bit of a low point, but it's kind of a bit, won't say an elephant in the room, but it's kind of something that we need to get out and talk about. Claire Devaney, you were in Scotland for that.
I was in Dam Health Stadium in Edinburgh, and never in my life have I wanted a rugby game, have I wanted the ground to open me up and swallow me. They were good. They were good for the first. Coming up to half time, they were doing all right. And then when Scotland got the try just before half time, it kind of shook them. But coming out in the second half, I did not expect that they were going to end up doing. That's what I really and truly didn't. Now I know how other supporters feel when Ireland annihilate them. It's a tough one to call with the girls. Whether it's management mismanagement, and it's been coming for a while. You can't not promote women's rugby and give money to women's rugby, take some of your players away for sevens because they have to choose sevens, and still expect us to be top of the pile. We're great in the 20s, we're great in the men's, but the women's just seem to be left behind.
No, to be honest with you, I was just seeing there that Matt Williams had 12 games as coach, and he's only had 3 wins, 2 from the last Six Nations and 1 against Japan last year. But the one thing I've noticed about the Irish team playing in the Six Nations is there's something missing. When I'm not sure if it's coaching, I'm not sure if the inexperience of the players, lack of leadership, or anything like that. But they seemed like months at the start of the season. They seemed very unsure of how to get things done. They didn't seem to know kind of how to go forward. They weren't too sure how they were meant to be doing all this sort of thing. They were taking chances and weren't working out. They seemed very toothless going forward, and I'm not too sure if it's something the coaching needs to do or if it's something that it's a lack of leadership in the back line or what, because I know there's a few players missing. Emer Constantine, I know Enya Green got injured fairly early in the tournament as well. It's just, I think as much as we improved in over Scotland, it's just I think it's just a combination of the last few years, just hasn't been great. It's just, I think we just need to hit this low point now to get everything back on track. But there was an improvement compared to the previous year games, but not enough to be a threat now in this new women's 15 calendar thing that's coming up this year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're now down to tier 3.
yeah, which is another thing now. And to be honest with you, it might be a blessing in disguise just to get everything together for us, and get where we need to go and maybe start building inroads in that way. But I think we need this. Just like watching the men's team back in the 90s, Joe, you're kind of looking at it and kind of going, for fuck's sake, come on. But
That's it.
maybe it's just this bad patch. We need to get everything where we need to be down the line. So, but no, it was a frustrating to watch. That Scotland game, it was very frustrating.
It's a sorry state of affairs when your coach, who may or may not be coached because it hasn't been fully announced yet, has to come out and say that the IRFU, who is the organisation, are not sexist when people are saying they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That should never come into it. But that seems to be what's happening over the past number of months, shall we say. It kind of started last year at the Interpros when the ladies were made change in tents. So that seems to be. I'm not no way saying it is or it isn't. That's everyone has their own opinion. But when you have to defend against that instead of putting all your thoughts and your team into training and into getting the best players and into promoting the game as well.
Yeah.
Guys, can I just put this to you? Danny and Claire, seeing as you've got you've taken the mantle up on this, can I just put it to you that is there a case that there's kind of a little bit of a witch hunt maybe, that where it's been driven by press and by media, where they've got a sniff that things aren't good for the women's game, and I'm not dissing the fact that things aren't good, because they clearly aren't. But is there a case that where they're taking that there's elements perhaps in the media, if it's a case that could be maybe certain people previously involved in the game are basically having a swing from a distance and are maybe going with this in a particular direction, really driving home the negativity rather than saying, well, look, they were part of this, they know what was wrong, and they're trying to be a bit, rather than being positive and maybe trying to say, well, look, they've been part of what was all wrong, and then let's go forward. Do you think that somebody's trying to get, kind of twist the knife into the IRFU and really kind of drive home the negativity, which is to the detriment of the team overall?
You can only judge on what they do, and they're not doing an awful lot. We can only, me as a female playing rugby and involved in women's rugby, we can only judge the IRFU on what they do for women's rugby, which is not a hell of a lot. And that's coming from me as a woman playing rugby and involved in women's rugby. It's not a hell of a lot. We can only judge them on what they do. If they start singing a better tune, and there is talk of them doing it and going on and all, and then if they do, fine and well. But they need to start doing it. The press are always going to look for bad stories. They always do. Be it Munster, Ulster, Leinster, Connacht, they will always look for the bad stories, and they will always twist the knife. But if the IRFU are doing things to counteract it and saying, no, lads, this is what we're doing. Here's where we're going. Here's what we're aiming for. Here's what we're going. But they kind of aren't. So
just to that end, Claire, are you surprised at how bad we've been? The girls have been. Are you surprised? Or are you going, holy shit, this is a new low?
I'm going, holy shit, this is a new low, especially because I know one or two of the girls on the team, and I know they give their heart and soul. I spoke to one of the girls after the game, and you could see the absolute devastation in her eyes, and she was heartbroken. She was absolutely devastated because they give it their heart and soul. So I'm not going to be able to fix women's rugby, the IRFU, but there is people out there that can, and they need to start bringing in the right people for the job. Okay,
Mike, come in there.
I'm a bit detached from what's going on in the background, like in the women's rugby at the moment. But I've read something along the lines of that the women were offered contracts, professional contracts, and there were derisory like amounts apparently, and some of them knocked it back. And I think they've been outcasters. Is there any basis for this, like, or is that what's happened?
Yes.
Or
I know someone that was offered. I know someone that had a very high up job, and their contract that they were offered was €19,000 a year.
I mean, that's
ridiculous. Claire, did you see that? Claire, do you want to read that comment out there from Jared?
Yeah.
Our girls are in a very fragile place now. They're struggling mentally. 5 losses on the bouts, and the coach apparently doesn't want to continue. There's very little positivity around the group. The IRFU need to make a huge statement shortly about the future of women's rugby, contracts, coaching, underage investment. I wholeheartedly agree with what Jared has said.
That's a good point, Jared. Good point, Jared.
Investment is the future. It's very hard. James is not on, but I know James is involved in girls rugby down on his side. I've been involved, but it's very hard to get young people because there's not that much investment. There's so we will keep going. We'll keep going. We'll keep down, and we'll keep trying to get women and girls to play rugby. But if you haven't got the investment, there's not much you can do.
Which Claire, you know that.
Yeah.
Peter
So
Martin,
where does
you
the
know
investment come from? Where does
who's
investing?
the same thing about rugby.
The IRFU.
Yeah, that's basically yeah.
Well, they need to make a decision on whether they want to back it properly or like it has to be either all in or not, because we're neither here nor there right now, and it's almost embarrassing going out on the pitch. Those poor girls are, like Claire said, are giving it their all every game they play, and they're not getting any support like from the organisation they're representing, and it's pretty shameful as what it is.
The IRFU have to invest. If they're not willing to invest in women's rugby, it'll stop. Like any business, if there's no investment behind business doesn't work. Companies don't progress and they don't develop. It's all about investment. The IRFU they should be looking at their overall figures and going, right, we're going to put X amount into the international teams. We're going to put X amount into the provincial sides. We're going to put X amount into women's rugby. But they need to do that. Whatever the investment that they need to do it. And they need to back the team. Because if the IRFU are not going to get behind the team aren't going to want to play. And I mean, getting offered like a contract for 19,000
that's embarrassing
a year is pathetic. That's less than a part-time wage.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing. Is what it is.
Part-time wage where they're able to train, where they're able to concentrate on women's rugby and not have to have a separate job elsewhere to support themselves. It's ridiculous. It's a disgrace. And until the IRFU invest in women's rugby, it'll stay the same.
Absolutely, they're making a mockery of the whole the ethos of rugby is to be inclusive, and they're far from it. They're being exclusive.
I just like to say, as I said, I was at that game. There was a fair few. And we gave it our all. We sang, even though we wanted the ground to open up. I suppose them girls, you could see they were still playing with all their heart and soul, but it's kind of like, and they did, and they gave it, and I could see the devastation. As I said, I seen some of them after the game, the devastation in their eyes. They want to play the game, they love the game, but it's a bit like going to a job every day of the week, and if your boss just is not doing much for you to make your job easier or better or stuff, it's kind of going, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I doing this?
Can I just put a bit of context into all this, right?
Yeah.
How long is the Irish women's rugby team professional?
It's only not that long. I think we only went professional last year, didn't we?
Is it 18 months? Is it 13 months?
Yeah.
15
I don't
months?
think it's even 18 months.
I don't think it's just over a year.
Right. When did the men's team go professional?
Yeah, that's
97.
1995.
1995, yeah.
1995, 1996 season. How long did it take the men's rugby team to get up to winning ways after they went professional?
It was like 7 years.
So it's not. But yeah, okay. So it's not going to take. So this, excuse me. This lull in the women's performance is not down to the women. It's down to the background, the changes going from amateur to a professional game. It was reflected in the men's game. It is now going to be reflected in the women's game. 13, 15, 18 months or whatever it is that the women's game has gone professional. You're not going to, albeit 2013 was a great year for them, but you have to look, if you're playing against other professional teams of your ilk, it's not going to be we should start winning stuff next month, next year. It doesn't, like, you all know this. Everyone watching this show knows this. There's nothing shocking about this. Greg Williams, I think leaving, I think that's a mistake. I think he's only there 18 months. He should have had a bigger plan in place for 3 or 4 years' time down the road. But I think that's his thing. I don't know. But the IRFU, certainly they need investment, but turning professional doesn't mean you're going to start winning stuff overnight.
Is it his decision to go, or is it the IRFU's decision?
It's a bit of a jump before you're pushed, I think.
Well, the question for you, Claire, is: do you think Williams is actually up for it?
Hold on. I got hear 5 voices there. Sorry, Peter, what were you saying?
No, my question to you, seeing as you know a couple of the girls on the team, do you get the feeling that he is actually the man? Is he the person to bring it forward, or do you actually need to have a woman there, one of the girls? Neve brings. I don't think you need. I don't think it needs to be a woman specifically. You need the right coach for the team, and I don't know if he is the right coach. Like that, and it doesn't have to be that it's a male or female. Yeah. You need the right coach for the team, and at the moment, I don't think he is the right coach for the team. No,
I think he's a good. I think Greg Williams is a good coach, but he's probably a better assistant coach than he is a head coach.
Yeah,
that's my impersonation of him. My impression of him anyway. That I think he'd do better. I'd say maybe working in the background and stuff like that, because from what I've seen of him, just the way he carries himself in interviews, he's not the type of coach that's. He doesn't seem to be inspiring me, like Farrell or Roundtree or maybe Collingwood, but that's just my take on him anyway.
You know what he does have?
Yeah.
He's a great fucking head of hair.
You're just jealous here.
Unlike yourself, Buck.
Yeah, that's why you have to have him.
Jealousy.
Did anyone see James Grennan's comments? Is there anything to be said for another mass? With us, James, we say mass.
He could only be the man with the worst jokes west of the Shannon.
Yeah, the granddad joke.
I sent him an invite. I don't know where he is. I sent James an invite. I know he's going to be late.
He's avoiding us.
He's fixing a problem caused by one of his own bad jokes.
It's the dad jokes. He's big time for them.
That's it. HR have pulled him in for asking. You have to tell that joke again, James.
I'm going to message him now. And
it's not bad. It's good.
Where is he?
He's not even in the dad joke category anymore. He's in the granddad joke category at some stage.
Yeah, it doesn't even qualify as a dad joke.
We love you, James.
Yeah, there he is, going off, doing his nationwide presentation from his sitting room.
There's another good point by Claire Brennan. Hold on. The difference of men going pro and the ladies is that they had a plan for the men. If they may have taken 20 years to develop the plan, but they had a plan. That's it. Again, another.
But the way it is with the women right now, women's rugby is relatively new anyway, and we're quite a bit off the pace right now, like of the other 5 nations in our hemisphere.
Oh, totally.
And like, how far away are we going to be if we don't get our act together?
Mike, just to jump in. There's another question I want to ask Claire. Claire, I'm nailing you for all this because
Because I'm a female?
Yeah, because you're the only female here, obviously. No, just as regards, you're actually you play for Garda Westminster, isn't that right?
Yes, I do. Well, when I say play, I turn up on the Sunday and line up on the pitch. Now, as to whether it's play, yeah.
Well, I'll put it like this: there's plenty of fellas who actually do that for their club as well, and indeed Burke did it for years for his school. And look how that turned out. But no, on a more serious note, Claire, how well organised when you go in to turn up for your team to play? How well organised is the league, or is it a little bit hit and miss? What kind of, from a player perspective, how well organised is it?
It is organised, but the only thing I'm going to say is we're finding it tough because you're trying. Ever since the lockdown, trying to get women back into rugby is tough. Now. We have our set matches, and we get our gig at the start of the year, and we know who we're playing, we know when we're playing. But then it's up to us to actually field the team, and sometimes, and it's not only us, there's numerous teams out there that we can't actually field the team. Last year we played 10s, 11s, 13s, and 15s throughout the whole league.
That's very good.
Yeah,
that's happening in some clubs where they can't field the team, but they join forces with another team local to them, and they play one team. Then that's taking 2 clubs away to make one women's team, like, which shows you the numbers are dwindling as well.
Yeah, we played 10 sides. I think our first game of the season. Now our first game of the season was 10 aside, and our last game of the season we actually had 15 with subs, which was a good thing. But through the whole season, it was 10 aside, 11 aside, 13 aside, 15 aside. But we still went and we still played. The organisation was okay now, but that's a big up to my coach, to my 2 coaches, and the people involved in Westminstown that do an awful lot. But we try, we still go and we still try and we still do because we want it, but it's still very hard to get people involved in it. Like, I'm the far side of 40. Like, I'm going down against people that are younger than my son. I was like scrumming down against people at the end of the season, and I was looking at them going, "Oh my God, like you're 19. Oh my God, like I'm going to get birth to you." You know what I mean? Like, I'm the far side of fuck. I'll still go and I'll still play, but we have to not even invest. We have to try and get girls involved. I'm sorry, and I know I'm on a rant because next week is the ladies thing, but to invest and try and get involved. Not that they're going to be playing for Ireland or for Anton, but for sportsmanship and for enjoyment and for health and for fitness and for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. That's all.
No, it's good for you to let it all out, Claire. I suppose what I would say is that you're teeing it up nicely for our next week's show. Teeing it up nicely.
Gregor Galway there, Pete.
What? Gregor,
Galway there. Yeah, just read that one out there.
Yeah, Gregor Gorman. Yeah, like the women already feel so let down, and now their coach, who should be trying to keep them together and working on improvements, leaves. It's like a slap in the face, and they must feel like no one cares about us.
That's from Megan.
Yeah.
That's from Gregor Galway.
Gregor,
Yeah, look, it's a difficult situation. Like I suppose, like, you know, regarding McWilliams, like there's obviously must be mixed views about, you know, him as a coach, if he's the right person or if he's not. Like, ultimately it probably would be ideal if the players came out and say, look, oh God, what a line. Jesus Christ.
What a line. all the way from Dubai as well.
That's just so bad.
That's Finton, yeah.
Finton, you're a dirty.
I
know. Well, in fairness, you're going into that.
He's over there in the fucking Middle East, and he's not allowed to say that in public, though.
No, but in fairness to him, if he joined halfway through, that's what you would have heard. That's what you would have heard. In fairness to Finton, I'm defending your honour.
I defend your honour.
Exactly.
Well,
anyway, look, I think look, we can go round and round in circles. I think a little bit about McWilliams and the Irish team at the moment, so we get a little bit more clarity as regards what exactly is going to happen. So look, maybe we might just park the issue for the time being and just keep it for next week's show or whatever. Moving on then to the 2 big games last weekend: Leinster Toulouse and La Rochelle Exeter. We'll start off with the Leinster game. Danny,
yeah,
did you see the game?
Yeah, I saw most of the game, right? And be honest with you, wasn't overly surprised with the Leinster win. Was surprised by how much they put on Toulouse, but that was down to the Toulouse getting the 2 yellow cards and having to move Dupont into a centre, which I think was an absolutely idiotic move. The team's best scrum half, being moved out of his absolute best position. It should have been the scrum half that came on. He should have been moved into a centre or onto the wing or whatever, and just leave Dupont where he was, because that would have given Toulouse a lot more room, especially with with the way he works with Intimac and the rest of the back line. He kind of knows how they work a lot better. But the 2 yellow cards cost to lose in that discipline as well. Because the minute Leinster knew they had the man up, it's just kind of like, okay, we're going for the juggernaut, we're going for the kill, and we're going to nail them. And they did. They just literally, once they got the heads up and the tails up, that was it. They were gone. Over the line, that was it. So I'm surprised that Leinster got that much of a score on to lose, to be honest with you.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, we watched the game. I thought it was going to be a hell of a lot closer, and the way Toulouse started, it actually looked like it was going to be a very, very close game. But in saying that, like, as soon as they lost the Ramos to the yellow card, they really capitalised. And with DuPont going into centre, they just lost all their attacking ability. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know where he was. If he had stayed in scrum half, like Danny said, and put the other scrum half in centre, they might have had a better chance. But he was out of the game. He may as well have been taken off and substituted. Like it was a great game. It was a great game to watch for a Leinster point of view, for sure. The whole forward pack were absolutely immense, and to kind of put down a marker for La Rochelle that they're not going to get bullied off the pitch this year, you know, it was a massive thing. I do think your man fucking Netty should be sent off, because if you look at that replay again, you're entitled to stand your ground, but he deliberately lined him up and raised his head up to connect Van der Fleur, and I felt he should have been red carded for that. He did it twice. Like there was intent there. I understand when somebody's going into a ruck like that, they're allowed to kind of defend themselves and stand their ground. Hey, that malicious and should have been a hell of a lot more than the yellow card. And that, I mean, I was very happy with Leinster. The pack was fucking amazing. I think every try was scored by a forward, so that will tell you the result of the game. Do you know?
Mike?
Yeah, I watched the game. I'll be honest, I expected Leinster to win. I said last week I thought they would win, but not by that kind of scoreline. But like everybody else has said, as soon as the first yellow card, like when Ramos went off, Leinster really did go for the juggler and score 2 tries, quick fire tries, and they done the same with the second yellow card. And also, it was ludicrous taking DuPont out away from scrum half. He controls the whole game from there. He had very little influence in the game where he was, and that it showed. Like it showed in the entire team, because if your director is out of the game, like they're chasing their tails. You know, they don't know what to do. You need to have the man that's in control of where he's used to playing. But Leinster were excellent. I mean, it's crazy to say, but Jack Conan was absolutely unbelievable. I thought he's as good as I've ever seen him play, and I mean, not to have. I keep on saying that that Doris has to be playing at 8, but Christ, has he? You know, but Doris is definitely less effective as a 6. He's not as effective in the game, but Jack Conan has been outstanding, and like in fairness, he's earned his place there now.
Yeah,
so,
like
just coming back to what you were talking about DuPont, and I suppose this is just going a very brief question to everyone. This is: would DuPont be regarded as a one-man band as regards Toulouse?
Definitely after that performance.
Yes, absolutely after that. Yes,
it looks that way, doesn't it? Definitely looks that way. And you know something? Is it a lot different for France? You have to ask that question.
No, it's not. But just to come back to that there, look, what happened, that comment there from someone watching, what happened before that, obviously the headbutt that we're talking about, you were mentioning, like, Josh purposely went in for the counter ruck when there was nothing to be gained. It looked like he was perhaps baiting the hit. I disagree with your commenter, whoever said
that.
Fintan.
It's Fintan.
All right, Fintan, no.
Yeah, now you're not defending his honour.
Sorry, Fintan, I disagree with you on that one. I disagree with you on that one.
I think he had to win the second time. Once he went the first time, he had to go back. I mean, the guy tried to headbutt him the first time, and he really went for it. As soon as he went in, he had his head down, by the way, and he lifted it straight up into his face.
I think it's game smarts from Van der Fleer. Game smarts.
Absolutely. So Van der Fleer is, and there's a little from Jared Brennan. James Ryan has become the player we all hoped he'd be. He has now become a troubleshooter, an enforcer. There's no team taking cheap shots anymore, because if they do, they're going to get a serious dig. I think James Ryan struggled after 2018. He had a year or two, a massive dip in form, but he's come back to.
He's outstanding.
He's absolutely outstanding, Jerry. Yeah, absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely. Claire,
here's another one.
You see the game?
I did. I watched it in an Irish bar in Edinburgh. Yes. I was very nervous. And the way Toulouse started, I was like, "Fuck, we're in for a long day here." We were sitting with a nice Toulouse supporter, who very kindly started crying then after a good one. Very good game. I don't know. I was kind of with commentary, with not hearing the commentary. It's hard to. Okay, I know you can watch the game, but sometimes not hearing the commentary can go to your detriment. Because at one stage I was like, "Why is what just happened there? Why is he over there and not there?" Because I didn't know what happened. I had missed it. But absolutely delighted with the win.
Excellent stuff, Mr. Burke.
Yes. How are you doing?
Where are you?
There I am. Now.
There you are.
Drop in, ladies and gentlemen.
Leinster 41. No. I'll keep it as short as I can, because it's the one game. Oh, would you shut up, Claire? Stop it there.
No, I love you. You missed me.
Love you too. Listen, now, Leinster 41, Toulouse 22. I said in the group I did not expect that score result at all.
I don't think anyone
did. Oh, you're right, yeah. Gibson Park, man, the match, he outplayed DuPont for the first 20 minutes or whatever it was. He was in his right position. Ross Byrne, currently second on points in the whole competition. He's on 81. Antoine Hastoy in La Rochelle is on 85. Ross is averaging 11.6 points per game. Hastoy is averaging 12.1 points per game. That's going to be interesting comes to the final. Right?
Back from work, anybody else here give a fuck?
No, but you see, Peter Martin, you're the stat man, right? So I'm giving you the stats, right? What Leinster do, I don't know. I'm going to compare it. Mike, you might have seen this movie, or anyone else might have seen this movie. It's a movie called Zulu with Michael Caine, right? And it's about the battle.
This is like a James Brennan moment.
Would you stop for a second. Just listen, hear me out, right?
James, come back, all is forgiven.
It's like the battle of. Would you stop for a fucking second? Let me make the point, and you'll understand the point.
Is he still shouting about Zulu?
Yeah.
I will look like that promo picture that Peter put up.
Listen. This is the way Leinster play their rugby, right? It's like that battle, 1879 in Rourke Drift, when the Brits were up against the Zulus, right? The Brits fired everything they had, their bullets, their guns, at the fucking army of the Zulus. They dropped a few Zulus, they dropped a few of them. Then what happened was, your man turned around and said, the British soldier turned around and said, "Why haven't the Zulus gone?" He said, "All they're doing is testing your weaknesses, and they're testing your strengths. They give you about 20 minutes or 30 minutes. That's what Leinster do. Come at us for 20 or 30 minutes. We know where your weaknesses are, and that's exactly the way it's going to go." That's exactly what they do against La Rochelle in the final. They let La Rochelle come at them. La Rochelle might score a try or get a penalty. They might go 10, 14 points up, and then Leinster will come back at them, and they'll identify where the weaknesses are. That's the way to go. Right over, off you go.
Right, anyway, La Rochelle versus Exeter. Claire, did you see the game?
No, I didn't. They hadn't. I asked in the pub we were in. They looked at me like I had 25 gazillion heads. So that's why I kept asking you for updates.
Oh
no,
dear.
Didn't see it.
Matt, did you manage to see the game?
I didn't see that game, but I'd just like to congratulate Peter Burke on an epic prediction, because
Yes.
he had everything convinced that fucking Exeter were going to win, and he said, mark my words, Exeter are going to beat La Rochelle. What a fucking tool.
Yeah.
Remember hearing that being said?
Excuse me.
Bonkers batshit. Danny, did you see that game, La Rochelle and Exeter?
No,
For fuck's sake, lads, come on. Does anybody watch any fucking rugby this past weekend at all?
I watched that fucking
I watched
game.
2 games.
Anyway, shut up, you. Don't know.
Nobody wants to fucking listen to you anymore. Burke.
Absolute talking.
Christ.
Shut the fuck up, Burke.
Pure fucking shite.
Go out to the toilet, get some toilet roll for your mouth, will you? You're talking shite.
Actually, hold on, Pete. What's that comment there? I did make the comment last week that we should be a lot more confident for Toulouse that they didn't have DuPont playing the same way they would against Leinster without Johnny Sexton, but never in my wildest dreams I expect them to move not only DuPont to a position that he would have had his hands on the ball as much, also make an end-to-match lesson. But yeah, true. All right.
Well, I'll just address that point. Is that Hugo Mola fucked up?
100%.
And that's all I have to say in that.
Yeah.
That's absolute brain
That's all
fart.
he said about that.
Absolute fucking brain fart by putting doing that. So it's absolutely unbelievable this team going out. I apologise for Burke off tangent. Don't apologise. Mike, did you see La Rochelle, Exeter?
Yes, I did. I saw it, and it went more or less as I expected it to go. However, Exeter are weak. I said it last week as well. I thought they're a weak team, and I think La Rochelle just absolutely bullied them off the park in every aspect. But La Rochelle are very, very good, by the way. Make no mistake about it. They're a good side, very efficient.
Mike, do you think La Rochelle will bully Leinster off the park?
No. Absolutely not. No. Other teams have tried. France tried to bully Ireland, and they did bully us a couple of years ago, but they don't anymore. And I think they've realised that. I think they've come to realise that. No, England used to bully us, and they don't either anymore. Ireland are a different entity now, and that's basically Leinster, isn't it? So it's a totally different. So I don't think they will. I don't even know if they'll try. I think Rodgers is more clever than that. You know, he's not daft enough to think that we can. They'll have to play seriously good rugby, and they can play good rugby. They do play good rugby, but I still think Leinster will beat them. But the Hastoy is. He's pretty tasty, and Kerr Barlow had an absolutely brilliant game.
Such a man from Coronation Street.
Don't you start again, Burke?
I was wondering about him.
Who needs James Brennan? You've got Burke for shitty jokes, huh?
He's not that young. I think he's early 30s.
James, come back. All is forgiven.
Yeah, all is forgiven.
But he played for the All Blacks a few, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 tests back in the day. But he's been at. I think he's about 5 or 6 years. He's at.
Mary All Black, but anyway.
He's at La Rochelle, but it's.
Yeah, I think it says a lot. All right, Mike. When O'Gara was talking him up so much after the game, you know, that he was absolutely instrumental. Like, you know, Ohio West was his half-back partner there last year, and he went on. And as you said, Hastoy has come in, and he's cool as a cucumber. Dead-eye dick with the boot.
I think O'Gara is very clever, by the way. I think he's a proper clever coach. Like, you know, whether he'll do anything anywhere else, who knows? But he certainly knows his rugby. He knows, and he'll give Leinster a game. Make no mistake about it. They're in for a tougher game, I would say, than they had against Toulouse.
Oh yeah,
I think the way it is, it all boils down to, like, the better teams are the ones who can learn the best, and like Leinster are getting to the final now. The ultimate will be is obviously it's shit or bust. So, you know, it's just basically the ability to learn. And as we've said before, you know, the great All Blacks teams, You know, he used to always try and get them early in a tournament, or you know, if it was a tour test series, you get them in the first test, because after that they just, you know, they're almost like, I've used better comparison what Burkett's using with fucking Zulu films. I regard New Zealand, the All Blacks, as like Borg out of Star Trek, where basically they're constantly moving, living,
Star
learning.
Trek, for fuck's sake, Star Trek, Jesus Christ, come on.
What's wrong with that?
It's a better fucking analogy. At least I'm finished. You know, you're still fucking waffling about Zulu. But no, that's that's what I always regard. The All Blacks, they learn on the pit, they learn on the hoof on how to beat you, and that's what they've always done. That's what they do out of 9 out of 10 teams, and I think Leinster are in that space now. Is that they're learning? They're on the hoof. They've got enough rugby IQ on the pitch at all times. They're you know, with so much knowledge and experience there, and they're still quite young as well. Like, you know, they're. You know,
they believe in their system. They believe in what they're doing. They really do, and they're very, very good at what they do. And
absolutely.
They can win in all sorts of different ways. They can win like they did at the weekend with all their forwards scoring 5 tries. They can win with the backs. I mean, I thought Larmour had a decent game, to be honest with you. I was well impressed with him. And,
arguably Irish rugby's most unlucky player, you could say.
Well,
I think Peter,
Jimmy O'Brien is a real deal,
by Jared Brennan, where Toulouse arrogant.
Well, that's
I think
Mola.
That's a very good. Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
That Jared Brennan brought up there. I think Dupont, he could be world class in any position. I think that is an issue. That is a good point.
You can only be world class if you get the ball. If you're given the ball, exactly. you can do something with it. But keep the ball away from him, and that's, you know, something. Ireland did that against France in the Six Nations, right? They didn't. Anytime he got the ball, he was capable of doing something with it. But keep the ball away from him, and I'll tell you, and I thought what you call him, the full back had a terrible game for Toulouse. Ramos. He had a definite brain fart, by the way. Everything he did was wrong.
But he always has brain farts. Ramos has been known to have brain farts. So wasn't he meant to be banned for 2 years for France? He wasn't even meant to play in the World Cup for something he done.
I don't
remember
know
there was talk about him being banned for 2 years.
It was fucking
intense, yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking taxi for Ramos at half time, like Ramos.
Yeah, but he's always been like that. Now, don't get me wrong, he can have some great games, but when he plays bad, he plays really shocking and really messes up.
He looks like a fucking serial killer you see starring in a fucking Netflix show.
No, this incident, Porter at the weekend, like the so-called tip tackle. No, it wasn't a tip tackle. A tip tackle is fucking shoving a guy's head in the ground. He did lift the guy off the ground, but he put him back down onto his back. Yeah. The only thing that merited him being carried for that incident was that he did it off the ball. He was not the guy wasn't involved in the play, and he did pick him up, and it should have been a penalty, no question about it.
Yeah.
However, I mean, people are talking about red cards and. Are you on drugs or something, man? There's never a red card in a million years. He didn't. Like, fucking. I
didn't even think it was a penalty.
Yeah. No, sure. Toulouse ended up scoring after that play as well. So
they did. They scored a try from in the next phase anyway. But I mean, I think it would have gone back for a penalty because he picked him up off the ball for that reason. But not the actual action itself was just like you said earlier in the comment, Peter. It was just a rugby incident. But I don't know. It was an awful lot. The French are gone mental about that.
One thing I've noticed, and our dear friend and colleague Zakaya has alluded to it, is that Leinster and Irish rugby is entering the phase now where there's going to be there's going to be an awful lot of negativity and, you know, bad feeling in comments, kind of jealousy and you know, all this kind of stuff. And an awful lot was an absolute crap that's coming our way. And, you know, Zakaya rightfully made the point about, you know, the All Blacks jerseys, the armour. you know, like there's an awful lot of jealousy out there. Like, you know, there's an awful lot of other countries out there. Like the English are looking over at our game in envy because they're banjacks. We'll get onto that. I suppose that's something else to discuss as well. But like, there's an awful lot of kind of, I suppose, begrudgery and dislike coming Leinster and by extension Ireland's way because they get so much right, and it's almost a case that there doesn't appear to be any very obvious weaknesses. So people are lining up to have a pop, like, you know, there's various different fans, you know, bitter individuals will be there throwing shade, and like, it's not just from abroad, it'll be those from inside, you know, within our country, maybe from other provinces, are just very like bitter, throwing shade Leinster's way, and even not even kind of rugby people, it'll be those who'll be saying they're getting loads of mercenaries in. Those they're very ignorant comments. We've seen some of them pop up on other sites from other pages from time to time.
I had a dispute with some guy just after the Leinster game on, I think it was on Twitter, I can't remember, it was on something anyway. And I had to.
Twitter's a cesspool anyway.
I mean, he was basically saying that Leinster, you know, they were cheating. He actually mentioned the word cheating, because I thought, how? Well, I couldn't understand it. Because basically they picked their team from guys that have come through, mostly have come through the academy, and I thought, are you on some kind of drugs here? Because this is not making any sense. And he wasn't making any. He was going on about Wales, being the same size as Leinster, and you know that they've won Six Nations and they've won this, that, and the other thing, and they've done better in the World Cup than Ireland. And I thought, well, we weren't even talking about international rugby. There we go, and we'll see how Wales do on this coming World Cup. Now, I don't know if the guy was Welsh. I don't ever look at people's profiles. I don't want to know where they come from. I'm not interested.
Don't even ask. But I'm looking at another viewer there. Major difference this year with La Rochelle is that they can cope with Will Skelton. Will Skelton is a hell of a player, as we all know. Jenkins and Baird to come off the bench. Skelton was the difference last year. He was, in fairness, although he wasn't 100% doubt, or at least that's what Rog fed the media. This year we can cope with him, especially given the form Ryan is in. Ryan up against Skelton.
I think you're dealing with two different types of players, and I think as well, it was an interesting piece that Eddie Jones has made inquiries about. I think it was Richie Arnold. It was one of the Arnold brothers. I think it's Richie Arnold, to come back into the wider Australian training squad. And a few people are going to say, well, hang on, he's going to France and he's picked up one of the Arnold brothers. The other guy he left out for whatever reason. But they haven't picked on Skelton. And I just thought it was a very interesting piece that apparently the Arnold brother that was chosen as, I'm pretty certain it's Richie Arnold of the Blues. The point they're making is that there is a distinct difference between the game, the type of player that Skelton is, to Richie Arnold, insofar as Richie Arnold actually has an offload on him. He's an actual ball carrier compared to Skelton, who does nothing. He's literally a physical lump. He's basically there for ballast, bulk.
He breaks the game line. He takes two fucking players
in scrum and line. That's all he's there for. Like, you know, there's very few. The article was actually very well researched. I was going to say that Skelton doesn't jump in the line out. He's a lifter himself. He doesn't jump. So, you know, it just goes to show, like, you know, that perhaps, you know, you have to be a bit more of an all-court type of player, I think, rather than just being...
Which actually, Pete, Ryan is, Baird is, Doris is, Conan is, Sheehan is, if you want to call him in, or two. You know, yeah, you're right. I agree with you, Pete. I agree with you, yeah.
And I would say the incident with Van der Fleer at the weekend will send a message to La Rochelle as well. We've no point. I mean, he fronted up there. He did. He went by going back in the second time. He fronted up. He didn't show a weakness, you know, and think I'm not up for this. So I think when you send out a message like that, guys know that, you know, we need to be smarter than this than think we're going to bully these guys off the park, because it ain't going to happen. So I just see Leinster I see Leinster beating them.
That's a good point. Another good point by Jared Brennan there, Pete. You want to read that one out?
Porter's issue is his insane strength. The opposition player gives a slight hop before contact. If you can bench press hundreds of kilos, throwing it back up in the air is the problem. He just needs to be a little more careful. His name getting the wrong kind of publicity, warranted or not, because he could be taunted or refs will be expecting to fuck up.
I agree with that. By the way, I think there is a danger.
Yeah, I think Porter's issue it really is. I think for referees, I think where opposition will go after him particularly is not so much his play in the loose, because he's exceptionally mobile for a guy of his size and strength, and he is very powerful. It's more, to be honest, I think, when it comes to scrummaging. I think at times he gives away. If he gave a few away less penalties at scrum time, even if it was 1 or 2 less penalties a game, I think he definitely would be more in the world class bracket, I feel, than he is at the moment. Like I remember seeing an article by what's his name, BJ Botha, played scrum for Ulster and for Munster, and he kind of put up a piece saying he can't understand why Porter is being played at loose head. Now we all know, we've discussed the reason why he's there is because the best players in the bit.
We don't fucking have one. We don't have anybody else.
He basically makes out that Porter is a better tight head than he is a loose head, and he basically on his page he had footage to back it up where you could see Porter really coming under the squeeze and just soaking it.
Yeah, but
so there you go.
Yeah, but you've got Tyke Furlong. You've got Tyke Furlong there, and that's not even a debate at all right now. I don't think. And both Leinster and Ireland need a loose head, and we need another loose head, because we can't. That's a serious concern I have going towards the World Cup. We're going to go into the World Cup with Cian Healy and Kilcoyne as backup to Andrew Porter. If Porter, and the way Porter is going at the moment, he could very easily get a red card in that World Cup and leave us with Cian Healy starting at loose head. And is that where we want to be at the World Cup? I don't think so.
No.
Because I mean, he's definitely could be a liability. The way and like was said, Ger Brennan said, he could be targeted because he has shown a side that, you know, he can step over the line, you know, and if you do, and referees will also be watching that. So
see that he were just saying, Mike, just see that further comment there. Skelton caused us major difficulty last year. He's super effective at what he does, and Rog has the right mix of players around him that complement his weaknesses. Skelton won the series also, didn't he? And in his tie that beat Leinster, he's been a thorn on the side over the years. Yeah, he has done in the past, and I think again, I'll come back to the whole point is that Leinster have kind of moved on a little bit.
Yeah,
I think they've learned, you know. I think the reason why Jenkins is there is, you know, to kind of combat that have that extra bit of bulk, particularly as Joe McCarthy is only coming back to fitness now with his ankle issues. Just you need that big, heavy, tight head second row. But I do think that, you know, the players that Leinster and Ireland have are that little bit better than Skelton and have that little bit more around the pitch, which is what the Irish team and Leinster obviously want to do, is be a bit more all-important players. But I do think I take on board that point that he's been born in the past, but I think Leinster have moved on. You know, we're streets ahead of the likes of Saracens now, and we'll see on the 20th of May where we are as regards to Shell.
Yeah, I mean, you have to show him a bit of respect, Skelton. But I honestly can't see how he'll trouble. I know you said he's troubled Leinster in the past, but he's limited though. He is limited what he's going to do, and Leinster won't shy away from what he's going to do, like they did as you said, Peter, that they maybe did in the past. You know, they hadn't got the nous, like the tactical nous to counteract what he was bringing to the game, but they do now, and I honestly don't see him causing much trouble at all. I'll be honest, I don't. I might be totally wrong now. This might come back to haunt me. This comment, but
You could be as wrong as me.
We're all here to be shot down the way Burke is on a consistent basis. Don't feel too bad about it.
I'm shot down on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. I couldn't give a fuck.
I know.
More holes in Burke than a tea bag.
But no, I don't see a major. I think Leinster will beat La Rochelle. I hope they do anyway, because I think it's another statement for Irish rugby against France.
That's it. That's where it's heading. I think we'll move it on towards our URC fixtures this weekend. We have a lot of Irish provinces are involved. Ulster Connacht, Stormers Bulls, Leinster Sharks, and Glasgow Munster. First up, Ulster versus Connacht. Mike, what way do you see this one going?
Well, Ulster are at home, which gives them a big advantage, I think. But that said, Connacht have played quite well recently, and it's a hard one to call. Connacht will have to play very well now to get anything there, I think. But it's I don't think it's going to be much in it. I really don't.
Will you give it to Ulster on the basis of home advantage?
Yeah, I'll give it Ulster by 4 or 5 points, maybe.
Okay, Danny.
Mr. Brosnan, are you awake?
Ulster will get 8-9 points, I'd say, for Ulster.
Ulster by 8-9 points. Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I can't really see past Ulster on that one, just 10 or 11.
10 or 11 points. Mr. Burke.
Connacht by 5.
Right, down to hobnobs, Peter. Down to hobnobs. Now put the can in front of you and try again.
Connacht by 5.
Ulster are definitely winning. We know how good Peter Burke is on his predictions.
Yeah, absolutely. Claire Devaney. Ulster by 5, Claire.
Yeah, thank you.
Whatever Peter goes with, I'll put my house on it and I'll guarantee I'll win.
That's why I'm going opposite Peter. He said Connacht by 5. I'm going Ulster by 5.
I'm gonna go with Ulster by 10. For anybody who cares. We'll do next up, we have Leinster versus Sharks. Now, obviously, that's going to be an interesting selection.
Well, the team selection is going to be
it's going to be extremely interesting given the hectic schedule.
Yeah, but the Sharks don't have Etzebeth or Khaleesi.
I think Etzebeth's here.
Yeah, Khaleesi's gone in for his operation.
Yeah, and Etzebeth is out as well.
Oh, is he out? Yeah. Oh,
Etzebeth is out as well, yeah. But they do have the Amazon, from what I can tell, Am is fit. From what I'm reading, Am is fit.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Yeah. Claire Devaney, what's your view on that one?
Leinster win by 12.
Leinster by 12. We're really putting our necks out here when we don't even know what
I don't even know what the game is, but yeah.
No, none of us will do. Danny Brosnan.
Yeah. Leinster win 6 points.
Right. Peter Burke.
Sharks by 7.
Definitely on the hot
Peter Martin, take it down. Record this. What I'm saying.
Believe me.
It's
all there.
No. It's realistic.
It's all there.
I'm taking it down.
You don't even need to write it down. It's on the fucking video.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go, Mike. Your view on this one, Leinster Sharks. Who's taking this one?
Leinster at home. Is that at the RDS or the Aviva?
No, it's in the Aviva. Bruce Springsteen is in the RDS.
All right, okay. There we go.
Look who's the boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leinster, I Leinster by a score or two. You know, I'd say maybe 6 or 8 points. Leinster, yeah, I think they'll beat the Sharks.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Leinster by 15 to 20 points.
Oh, well, I haven't seen the team now. If they were to pick the first team, I'd be confident of that. But
I know, that's what I'm fucking talking about.
There's no point. Like they want to win both, so they're gonna go out and win this game. Even if it's the second team, they'll still beat the fucking Sharks.
Okay.
The Sharks, in fairness, have nothing to lose at this stage. Like,
Yeah.
Of course they have nothing to lose. I suppose if you look at it, out of 8 teams left in it, 3 of them are South African, so they definitely want to win something. But I can't see the Sharks beating
And
Leinster.
4 of them are Irish.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd agree with that comment there.
that's just about it.
That is my next prediction. That comment there.
Someone tells me Glasgow to win versus Munster, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll put you down. How many points did I put you down for that one, then, Peter?
Yeah.
I think Glasgow will beat Munster well by 10 to 12 points.
Okay. Claire, Glasgow, Munster.
Glasgow by 8. As much as I love to see Munster do it, I think Glasgow by 8.
Okay.
But
Mike,
they're going for they'll be going for a URC.
now this game
European
is.
double as well. Just not. They'll be going for a double.
No, I actually give Munster a chance in this game, by the way, because even though it's on the plastic fucking pitch at Scotstoun, it's Munster, because Glasgow have one eye on this Challenge Cup final, and it could be a distraction. And I think Munster have played very well. Don't forget their last 2 games in South Africa.
Easy now, boy. Like, they're playing well.
They did. No, they won. They beat the Stormers. The Stormers have lost 1 game at home, and that's against Munster in 2 years.
Yeah, all right.
No, you have to give credit where it's due, Peter.
Yeah, all right, okay, fair enough. Okay.
pissing against the wind there, Mike.
But no, I think Munster win this by 5 points. How's that?
Solid prediction there. All right.
Yeah, Mike, I'll agree with you on that one. 5 points, Munster.
Well, of course you're going to say that.
Matt.
Yeah, because Peter Burke says Glasgow are going to beat Munster, I'm going to go with fucking Munster because sure as fuck, that's never going to happen. So I'm going to go with Munster by 7.
+7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to go drinking soon.
What?
I think you need to lay off the drink.
We have to go drinking soon.
Oh, yeah.
You're drinking too fucking much. It's gone straight to your head. You've no brain cells left.
You know what's wrong with him? He's not drinking enough. That's what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely drinking too much, folks.
The prediction levels are going up a notch with the tea and the hobnobs.
With the tea and the hobnobs.
Yeah, totally.
My predictions were better with my body.
That's saying oceans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Glasgow by 3 points. I think they are actually a decent outfit.
Oh, they're a good team.
Yeah, they are a decent outfit. I think the home it'll be tight.
I know everyone is talking about Leinster going for the double. Let's not forget Glasgow are going for the double as well. They're going for the Challenge Cup and the URC.
Glasgow.
I know it's not on the same level, but they're still going for a double.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Claire, is that Leinster won't be the ones with the nosebleed because this is brand new, rarefied air for Glasgow.
Yeah.
But you look, they learned something out of it. Danny, Glasgow, Munster.
Danny,
I go on Mike, Munster 5 points.
Munster by 5 points.
Yeah.
I have the Stormers and the Bulls game down here. Do we really give a shit?
Who gives a flying fuck?
Stormers. Stormers at home. They've lost 1 game in 2 years.
I'd say the Bulls will do that.
I don't.
I'd say probably the Bulls will do it. Bulls seem to have a little bit of momentum behind them.
Yeah.
They might very well, but the Stormers don't lose much at home.
Rovers will win that.
Right, that's definitely copper fast. And moving on anyway, EPRC nominations, guys.
Ringrose should win that.
He won't, though. That's the problem.
I know he should, but he won't. But he should,
because there's three Irish players. There's 3 Irish players, and that or 3 Leinster players, in fact, and the vote will be divided. Is that how it's decided, by votes, or is it by these clowns?
By vote and by committee.
Listen, I just fucking tell you, right? What the fuck is going to happen here, right? Who's on that fucking vote committee? You've got Brian Habana.
Stop going on about Zulu, will you?
No, Brian Habana.
Andy Good.
Brian Habana, he wasn't bad, right? He was a 13 outside centre in his day. He was a good
a great player.
You have Sarah Hunter, all-time great camp player for English rugby. She started off as a centre, came back into the back row. You've got Elma Smith, who is a presenter, and I've seen her on TV. She knows what's up. Dimitri Yashvili, the French scrum half, the great player of his day.
Who do you think he's going to pick?
And then you've got fucking Andy Good. What the fuck is Andy Good good at judging?
Andy Good for
fuck all.
What the fuck is he good for?
Fuck all.
Would you fuck off, Andy Good? Get away.
Andy bad.
Clown. He had a comment there online about Porter's fucking tackle.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Where the fuck is the team tomorrow? Where's everyone on that? Fuck off, Andy Good, you're a prick. So I'm saying that. The nominees are Doris Aldrich, DuPont, Doris Aldrich, Josh van der Fleer,
Ringrose and DuPont.
So who should win that is probably either Doris or Ringrose. Either of those two. But no player has ever won it twice in a row. That's why I'm thinking Josh van der Fleer is kind of against the odds on this one. But we shall see. But looking at that judging panel, I'm not confident in Irish player again.
I just think everybody else outside of Ireland will vote for DuPont.
Of course they fucking will.
So
probably, yeah.
And the Irish vote's going to be divided. So
yeah,
I think DuPont will win it, whether he deserves it or not. And like it's hard to deny. He had a poor game on Saturday, but prior to that, he's been the mainstay in Toulouse and French rugby the whole year. So I wouldn't begrudge him if he did. He's a very, very good player. I'd have him in my team, just like as backup.
I'd love to see Ringrose get it. Not that the other Irish players aren't worthy of it. I just think Ringrose, he's just the last 12 months. I think he's just been out.
He has no doubt.
Doris is stars continually in the rise. There's an awful lot of admiration, to be fair, for Doris across the water. Like you listen to Lalio waxing going on about him, and various other English pundits going on about being such a quality player. But I just think Ringrose at the moment, as a 13, like he's had a few knocks with injuries, but he's come in, I suppose, primarily in my view, he's really stepped forward as a leader in the team he plays in, be it Leinster, which he's captain obviously on several occasions, and definitely in the leadership group with Ireland as well. And he's put in performance, his consistency is outstanding. So I would, if I was to split hairs on this one, I'd be looking to hoping that Ringrose gets it, because I just think he deserves
it would be a nice reaccolade for him, as an individual, because he hasn't really been recognised like some of the other guys have over the course of his career, even.
Absolutely, and he's just at that stage. He's at the age in his he's heading towards his late 20s now as well. And if it's not kind of going to happen from now, it may not. It's just one of those things, he's in his prime years, I think.
Yeah,
he's got the caps. He has, he's got that experience, and he's still, still a bit locked in. But I just think at the moment he's nailed on. World 15, 13 league.
Anyway,
we're in the AOB section of the show, so if anybody else can throw any further comments,
I just wanted to say something about Ross Byrne, by the way. That's something I noticed at the weekend. Ross Byrne, seeing the huddle, like at half time and anytime there was a break, the amount of involvement and he's dictating, like he's doing it. I think he's become a serious leader, by the way, and I'm really impressed with it because
I think Brendan pointed that out earlier on in the comments. I know someone did point it out in the comments. Can't actually remember. It may have been Jer pointed that out in the comments. He seems to have found his voice.
Oh, he's really impressed me now, and he's taken up the mantle that we all hoped he might do. You know, on the back of Johnny Sexton, like, and it needs to be. You know, we need somebody definitive.
But here's the thing, Mike. Here's the thing. This is something I just like. You know, do we want Ross Byrne to be another Johnny Sexton? Or do we want Ross Byrne to be?
No, we don't think to be Ross Byrne, but
instead. Do you know what I mean?
He's never going to be a Johnny Sexton. There's nobody. That's a one-off. He's gone. When he goes, he's gone. Ross Byrne will need to be Ross Byrne and need to bring his own thing to the game. Because if you're trying to emulate somebody else, you're losing out on what you have, your own ability, maybe. So I would say he'll be himself. But as long as he's confident and I mean, 10 is the director of the game, so he should be dictating. And if he's wanting the ball and keeps wanting the ball and wanting, I mean, that's what Johnny Sexton has done, and there's never been anybody better at it than him. And like, you know, he demands the ball all the time, a bit too much maybe at times, but you can't. It's difficult to say that, judging on the success we've had when he's been there. But I'd like to see Ross Byrne now, because like Irish rugby is at a crossroads now, where that decision seems to have been made, and it's good. And if he gets more and more like top games with Leinster, that'll bring him on leaps and bounds as well.
Yeah, but I'd say it's right him that the way Sexton kind of works in terms of getting the best of our players and pushing them forward a bit and stuff. And yeah, that's what I try to do. But it's about putting his own stamp on it as well. And, we're getting that, but I can get how he's trying to say, lads, we need to keep going. We need to be a bit better. We need to do this things a bit better. But I think that's what a lot of leaders do. They do try to get their mind players that need the absolute best in them as well. So I think that's why he's trying to get out of them anyway, at least.
It gives me hope going to the World Cup anyway. That I mean, I was. There's no doubt about it. I think the whole country was concerned that we were going to go to the World Cup and have nothing as a backup to Johnny Sexton. No, we now do. We now have a genuine contender, at least. And I do think Crowley won't be forgotten either. I think Crowley will.
Yeah. So we have two young options coming through.
Yeah. So. It's not doom and gloom, but it is on the loose head prop situation. We need to address that. Ireland do.
Oh, I said that last year, Mike, as well, because I said even then I would have preferred it. Furlong and Porter were left at home for the New Zealand tour, because at least you get a chance to build a bit more depth. In saying that, Beale having out two played well at tight head side. Earlier on in the Six Nations, and that gave a bit of much needed time. But the fact I said, as you were saying earlier on, the fact we're still relying on Healy and Kilcoyne at loose head is probably
how is this Millen? You know, Millen is a kind of a third choice at Leinster.
Yeah.
Is it Michael Millen? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you guys will have seen a lot more of him than me, but is he he got potential?
Millen
he's started there very recently. Yeah, DJ Burke, yeah.
No, I can't. There's a savage echo coming through the headphones. That's why.
Is there any mileage to be had from doing what we do to Porter and swapping maybe make Tom O'Toole play, because we have Beelum as well. Like Tom O'Toole and Beelum, we've got 3 excellent tight heads. And
but you enter Ed Byrne and Eric O'Sullivan as well, with Leinster and Ulster respectively. They're new sets, aren't they?
That's
so
right.
they have a few
as Pierre Brennan has pointed out, Lockman in Munster. Lockman's back after injury, so
is he back? Is he? Is he back? Is he back for the weekend? And Ty Byrne is back as well. I think Munster.
I heard somewhere that he's supposed to be back.
They reckon Keith Ayres probably played his last game for Munster as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So
Great servants to the country and Munster.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks,
very
Megan. Yeah.
No, we're not hitting the end button tonight. It's going to be a 24-hour thing now. Let's go keep going.
Fuck off. I'm going for a piss.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. We just keep waffling.
Yeah.
I'm dying for a spice bag.
Oh, yeah. So, what the fuck?
Excuse my ignorance, but what's a spice bag?
Don't ask.
Is
that a question that shouldn't be asked? Is that what you're saying?
It's a Dublin delicacy, shall we say?
All right, okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, we're literally keeping talking about spice bags all night long.
Right, folks. Look, I think we'll wrap it up for this week. Many thanks to Mike from joining us from Scotland, and to the regular crew, Claire, Peter, Danny, and Matt. Next week's show is going to be a cracker. All the girls we run on the show and this are going to have some excellent guests. So it's good night from me and good night from him, and
a good night from him too.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye.
Thanks for all the banter.